Lab English for Basinis. Part 1. Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp from 1001 tells of the Arabian Night. There once lived a poor tailor who had soon called Aladdin, a careless, idle boy who would do nothing but play ball all day long in the streets with little idle boys like himself. This so grieved the father that he died, yet in spite of his mother's tears and prayers, Aladdin did not mend his ways. One day, when he was playing in the street as usual, a stranger asked him his age, and if he was not the son of Mustafa the tailor. I am Sir Aladdin, but he died a long while ago. On this, the stranger, who was famous African magician, fell on his neck and kissed him, saying, I am your uncle, and now you from your likeness to my brother. Go to your mother and tell her I am coming. Aladdin ran home and told his mother of his newly found uncle. Indeed, child, she said, your father had a brother, but I always thought he was dead. However, she prepare supper and bade Aladdin see his uncle, who came laden with wine and fruit. He presently fell down and kissed the place where Mustafa used to sit, bidding Aladdin's mother not to be surprised at not having seen him before, as he had been 40 years out of the country. He then turned to Aladdin and asked him his trade, at which the boy hung his head while his mother burst into tears. On learning that Aladdin was idle and he would learn no trade, he offered to take soft for him and stock it with merchandise. Next day, he bought Aladdin a fine suit of clothes and took him all over the city, showing him the sights, and brought him home at nightfall to his mother, who was overjoyed to see her son so fine. The next day, the magician eyed Aladdin into some beautiful garden at a long way outside the city. Then they journeyed onward till they almost reached the mountains. Aladdin was so tired that he begged to go back, but the magician beguiled him with pleasant stories and led him on in spite of himself. At last they come to two mountains divided by a narrow valley. We will go no future, said the false uncle. I will show you something wonderful. Only do you gather up stick while I kindle a fire. When it was lit, the magician threw on it a powder he had about him, at the same time saying some magical word. The earth trembled a little and opened in front of them, disclosing a square flat stone with a brass ring in the middle to raise it by. Aladdin tried to run away, but the magician caught him and gave him a blow that knocked him down. What have I done, uncle? He said piteously. Whereupon the magician said more kindly, fear nothing but obey me. Beneath this stone lies treasure which is to be yours, and no one else may touch it. Part 2. Once upon a time there were three bears who lived together in house of their own in a wood. One of them was little small wee bear, and one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great hog bear. One day, after they had made the porridge for their breakfast, they walked out into the woods while the porridge was cooling, and while they were walking, a little girl came into the house. This little girl had golden curls that tumbled down her back to her waist, and everyone called her Goldilocks. Goldilocks won inside. First, they tasted the porridge of the great hog bear, and that was far too hot for her. And she tasted the porridge of the middle bear, and that was too cold for her. And then she went to the porridge of the little small wee bear and tasted, and that was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right, and she liked it so well that she ate it all up. Then Goldilocks went upstairs into the bed chamber, and first she lay down upon the bed of the great hog bear, and next she lay down upon the bed of the middle bear, and then she lay down upon the bed of the little small wee bear, and that was just right. So she covered herself up comfortably and lay there till she fell fast asleep. By this time, the three bears touched their porridge won't be cool enough, so they come home to breakfast. Somebody has been at my porridge, said the great hog bear in his great gruff voice. Somebody has been at my porridge, said the middle bear in his middle voice, and then the little small wee bear looked at his, but the porridge was all gone. Someday, has been at my porridge and has eaten it all up, said the little small wee bear in his little small. Somebody has been lying in my bed, said the great hog bear in his great gruff voice. Somebody has been lying in my bed, said the middle bear in his middle voice, and when the little small wee bear came to look at his bed, upon the pillow was a pool of golden curls, and the angelic face of a little girl snoring away past sleep. Somebody has been lying in my bed, and here she is, said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Goldilocks jumped off the bed and ran downstairs, out through the door and along the garden path. She ran and she ran until she reached the house of her grandmama, and when she told Granny all about the house where the three bears lived in the wood, Granny said, my, what will imagination you have, child. Part 3. Homelessness is concerned in almost every place you go around the world, but we often don't think much about it unless it touches our lives in a personal way. Unfortunately, as human beings, we often come up with overly simplistic reasons why people live on the street or in homeless shelter. And this perception often limits our abilities to have real compassion for others. Some reason can include loss of employment, a traumatic event such as a natural disaster that damage or destroys a family's home, and substance abuse, and the list goes on and on. But the fact on homelessness are stuck, something I want to discuss as it applies to the United States where I live. So first of all, number one, in just the United States alone, over half a million people are homeless, with about sort of thus being children. Number two, about 1 in 5 people suffer from a mental health issue. Number three, about half of women who are homeless have been the victim of domestic abuse. And number four, around a quarter of the homeless are employed. But unfortunately, the cost of living for many people is just beyond their means and current income. Now, I understand that people may feel uncomfortable in helping the homeless, but there are a number of things that people can do to alleviate the pain and suffering of those who are in desperate need of help. For me, I just assume that people need help and I give it to them. I try not to assume that a person's plight has been self-inflicted every time. For example, one time my wife and I were about to enter a restaurant when homeless men approached us for money, and trying to set aside any prejudice of preconceived feeling about his intention, my wife simply invited him to join us for dinner. As it turned out, it was a nice evening. The man shared with us his hopes and dreams, and when our meals was over, we expressed well wishes to him and went home, not really knowing if he had home as well. To condole, my intention in telling this story isn't to show how great we are for helping this man. Far from it, so many other people serve humbly and anonymously in far greater ways why that we do. And I realize there have been times that I haven't been as compassionate as I could have been. Rather, I just want to say that people like you and me can make a difference, a small difference in the small act of generosity we do each day that can make a difference in someone's life. Okay, thank you for enough for me. I'm sorry if I have some mistake. And the last I say you all, thank you for watching my YouTube channel. Don't follow, don't follow for don't forget follow, comment, and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.